Let me first of all welcome all of you, not only as members of the National Youth Parliament, but more importantly, as the future leaders and custodians of our country. Before I go any further, I can't help but say it. I think it's the first time, Madam Speaker, that we have Madam Speaker from Mauritius, Madam Speaker from Seychelles, leader of the opposition, a lady. I think it's the first time. We should welcome them. This is what breaking the glass ceiling is all about. This is what equal opportunity is all about. It's a mindset that we have to change. You know, I remember when the father of the nation, I'm going off my speech when I'm speaker, because they want to learn something more instead of a classical speech. When SSR went to an official visit to UK, in a parliamentary democracy, a visiting prime minister usually also visits the leader of the opposition. And at the time, there was a new leader of the opposition, Margaret Thatcher. She had just become leader of the opposition. So SSR went to salute her, and then went to Downing Street to meet Harold Wilson. And you know, SSR told us, he said to Harold Wilson, "You have to be careful, Harold. This lady is very sharp. She might outmaneuver the Labour Party." And you know what Harold Wilson said? He said to SSR Prime Minister, "Don't you worry. The British people will never vote for a woman Prime Minister." And look what happened. And she was there for a long time. I think for quite a long span of time as Prime Minister, and very successful Prime Minister. This National Youth Parliament, I think it's the 5th edition from what I hear, it gives you the opportunity to know how Parliament works, about parliamentary procedures, how democracy works. You know, I'll tell you something else. When I first entered Parliament, it was in 1991. I became leader of the Labour Party in 1990. And then I entered Parliament in 1991 as leader of the opposition, 35 years ago. See how time flies? I must tell you something, in all frankness. I knew nothing about parliamentary procedures. No, absolutely nothing. But I was lucky in a way, because next to me, I was sitting there, but next to me was Sir Guy Tonjuval. Who was this stalwart, un vieux routier, comme on dit. He knew all the procedures. But, Madam Speaker, I know I shouldn't really say this, but only 3 of us got elected. But the opposition at the time, MMM, MSM, were very forceful. I'm sure you were there at the time. And they made some nasty remarks about Guy Tonjuval. After, I think, the 2nd session, he said to me, that's the way Juval spoke, he said to me, "Coco, I'm resigning." I said, "Don't resign, because I have no experience. It's great to have him next to me." And you know what he said to me? He said, "In fact, I'm doing you a favor. Because when I resign, you have no choice. You'll have to learn the standing orders and Eskin me by heart. You will either swim or sink." And how right he was. I had to do all this. But there was nobody else to help you. And we must also thank many people don't, you know, what I find sad in a way. Many people don't know the history of Mauritius. I'm hoping if one day I'm not Prime Minister anymore, which I hope won't be in the next 10 years, not too soon, I will write a book. And you will see lots of things people don't know. Absolutely no knowledge. For example, when SSR became Prime Minister, unlike other African states, he chose democracy. most of them became dictatorships, one-party state. They banned all the opposition. He chose differently. And I think we should be proud of this. Except, for the first time, again, when I'm speaking, you'll excuse me, for the first time in 1982, we had the first 60-0. I was working at in a hospital in London, University College Hospital, and I bought the Times, London Times, an international section. You know what the headline was? Unique in the world, democracy opts for one-party state. In every country, people want democracy. Here we did the other way around. We chose a one-party state through elections. We should reflect, and we did it 3 times. I myself got twice, 60-0. So this is something that we should think about. That is not good for democracy, I must tell you. You need to have a robust opposition. That is why electoral reform that we are proposing. Many people don't understand, why do we want electoral reform? It's important for many reasons, but 2 main reasons. It will prevent a 60-0. You will have a stronger opposition. And what happens? Everybody who wins an election, like I have, every prime minister before didn't want to change the system because it suits them. They have 60-0, no opposition. I think differently. I think we should have a strong opposition. A strong opposition. Today, I don't know why they're not present today, but I'm speaker. Walk out. But, and also it will help us in nation building because every vote counts. If you do electoral reform, if you have a dose of PR, every vote counts. Let me come to the 3 motions. I have to be brief because I have a cabinet meeting just after. I think it relates to artificial intelligence, to food security and sustainable development goal 16. That is peace, justice, and strong institutions. These 3 motions are in tune with the priorities set out in our government program, a bridge to the future. That's what it is. It's a bridge to the next generation. It's a passing of the torch. That's what we want to do. And for a country to succeed, frankly, you need 3 things. You need many things, but 3 important things. A democracy, a real democracy, not organize elections and then commit electoral fraud. I vouch for this. I know it happened. And I will change this. I will make sure that nobody will be able to commit electoral fraud next time around. You need democracy. You need respect for the rule of law. You need many times I hear people say we have an independent judiciary. It's not only independent that you need an impartial judiciary. Sometimes I hear people say, I've got a case in court, and they say, no, for public opinion. What will people say? He became prime minister, he won his case. Wrong. Impartial means you have to melt out justice, whoever it is. Not because I'm prime minister, now I become as if a victim. That is why it is important to be independent and impartial. And you need strong institutions. The strength of our country is because we have had strong institutions. The first motion, I'll tell you something about artificial intelligence. In the last budget, a large part of my program, as you know when I'm speaker, was on artificial intelligence. Why it's important, why we're putting a huge plot of land for artificial intelligence in Mauritius. And because we want to transform Mauritius into a high-tech, intelligent island. We are committed to transforming, to make it more citizen-friendly. The purpose of doing politics is to make a difference, to make the lives of people better, easier. If you think of the amount of red tape that we have in this country, everything to do with, I'm sure you're interested in concerts. You know, for people to be artists, to be able to do a concert, they have to look, I can't remember, I don't know if it's 30 or 13 permits, different places. And by the time they get it, the person they have invited says, no, thank you, he's gone. This is what we're doing. This is why I'm saying we should be proactive. And we must be able to harness the potential of artificial intelligence, because it will increase productivity, economic growth, and will help our national development. You know, again, I'm referring to my last budget speech. I mentioned I talked a lot about artificial intelligence. And not surprising, the opposition criticized this. They said, a lot of blah, blah about artificial intelligence. It's because they don't understand. They're not in tune. In my response, I quoted the former Prime Minister of France, Gabriel Attal, who is a candidate for the presidency. And you know what he said? And I quote him. He said, si on rate la révolution de l'intelligence artificielle, nos enfants auront le choix entre servir du café aux Américains ou du thé aux Chinois. They would be able to do nothing. Just be servers in cafes and restaurants. That is why it is important. We have no choice. We have to embrace new technology. And for this to happen, again, I tell people, you know, when election time comes in Mauritius, we have to change this. You'll see lots of demagogy, lots. You will see people, I'm afraid to say this, I'm ashamed to say it, people still vote on communal lines, not all, but a lot of, you will see socio-cultural organizations telling you who to vote for. This is why we have to think when we vote. We have to have leaders who have vision, who can think ahead, not just at the next election. Technology is not an end to itself, but it must serve people, as I said. And it will create new opportunities for you, for our youth. I always say, you must not only have vision, you must be ahead of the curve. This is what we did in the past. In Africa, we were the number one. Then Botswana caught up, then Rwanda, even Seychelles, and now look at where we are. Because no vision, no long-term vision, no projection in the future. And we are growing up, you're growing up in a world where AI is increasingly shaping everything, even studies. There was this unfortunate flooding in Nepal. Immediately, with AI, they show you exactly what happened. Not the real film, it's AI. Mauritius, we want Mauritius to be a country where our young people are not simply consumers of technology, but creators, innovators, entrepreneurs. But of course, opportunity means responsibility. We must make sure, because there are some problems already with AI, we must make sure that it's used ethically and inclusively. For example, we need to protect privacy and the personal data of people. The second theme, I'll be as quick as I can, is food security. Do you know a small agricultural island, we import more than 90% of what we consume? It's unacceptable. How do you explain this? We import fish. We're an island in the middle of an ocean, but we import most of our fish. So something is wrong somewhere. And we become vulnerable. You see, with the war, US-Iran war, you see what the consequences, all the prices are going up. It's beyond our control. But we have to suffer the consequences because we're importing everything. That is why, and you've seen what a barrel of petroleum is costing. That is why I had done this before the war, again for the second time, to see whether I can have security of petroleum. We need to have security. In a war, you don't have security. And I made this great deal with India, and we must thank the government of India. Now we have a secure source of petroleum. Whatever happens, we are sure we'll get our petroleum. There are some countries, I was just in South Africa for the SADC. People in Mauritius don't realize. I think they don't travel or they don't read. In South Africa, unemployment rate is 33%. 4 hours a day, electricity is cut. 4 hours a day, every day. And yet it's a very rich country. This is why leadership is important. And let me just try to finish. The third theme is about SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and fundamental rights. Since we took office, Madam Speaker from Seychelles is here. The former president of Seychelles made a comment about us. He said, Mauritius is going backwards. I won't use exact words he said. He said uncivilized, in fact. Because he saw what was happening in Parliament. We didn't have a speaker. We had a goalkeeper, a loudmouth goalkeeper. He was walking up to here, threatening members. Never seen. This is not Mauritius. It's a small clique who had captured the state, and they thought they could do everything they wanted to do. And look at the difference today. You can see the difference between Madam Speaker and the former goalkeeper. Strong institutions are the bedrock of any civilized society. And fundamental rights, I will end on this. You know, if you read the Constitution, you will see a whole chapter on fundamental rights, chapter 2. A whole chapter. Look at all the constitutions. I remember I had an eminent lawyer who came here when I was Prime Minister before, and he was surprised that a whole chapter is on fundamental rights. He tells me, but you had independence in 1968, but this is a European constitution. Lots of fundamental rights in the European Union is in our constitution. But we will go further, because this was, 58 years ago? Things are moved. There are more rights, fundamental rights, that we had to include in that constitution, and we will do it. I think I will end, Madam Speaker, otherwise it will be too long, but I just want to say, Madam Leader of the Opposition and Madam Prime Minister of the Youth Parliament, after 2 days of deliberations here, you will learn what difference it is. It is easy to criticize, but to be in the arena, that is the difficulty. You must believe. My plea to you, you must have convictions and believe in them. Don't bend with the wind while popularity is swinging, you go that way. I see a lot of politicians do that. And I'm glad also, I just mentioned so many women here today. I'm the one who brought that, and I'm proud of it, the Equal Opportunity Act in Mauritius. Because equal opportunity, I tell people, it doesn't mean equality. We're not equal. God didn't create us equal. But what it does is it gives you an equal opportunity to be part of the race. You don't have to win the race, but you must be able to participate in the race. That is what equal opportunity is about. Let me end by saying something. I was watching, I wasn't a great fan of him, but on television I saw him the other day, former President Ford. He said, do not let criticism stop you from doing what you think is right for your country. If you think you're right, do not let criticism upset your mental attitude. You have to have a strong mental attitude to be Prime Minister, by the way. Resolve of purpose. La politique, c'est d'abord avoir des convictions. That is the first thing you need to have. Et avoir le courage et la volonté d'aller jusqu'au bout. And I'm glad in your motion it resonates with our national anthem. As one people, as one nation, in peace, justice, and liberty. I wish you all the very best of deliberations. Thank you. And I'm glad to launch it.